Hey everybody, it is already May. It's already May.
It is.
Right? It's been May for a couple of days. So sorry we're a few days late with the May movie preview, but let's face it, we all went to see Avengers last weekend anyway. We wanted to talk about the rest of the movies that are coming out in May because there's honestly a lot of really exciting stuff that's not necessarily the big budget either.
Yeah. The rest of the weekends, there's sort of a question of what you're going to see that weekend.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff.
There's a lot of really good, really interesting stuff. Starting right off the bat with this weekend, this current weekend, you can probably go see this right now if you want to. Maggie. Maggie is the film, and we've talked about it, we've touched on it briefly, I think, in roundtables or something, but it's Arnold Schwarzenegger and Abigail Breslin playing his daughter who is turning into a zombie.
It reads a little bit like halfway between like a cancer drama and like protecting, say, like a Jew during the Holocaust drama. Like, you know, both of the, right? I'm not wrong.
You're not, no. You're not wrong. That's not what
wrong.
You're not wrong. That's not what I expected the end of that sentence.
Like, I don't like to go to the you know, argument ad nauseum, but it kind of reads like which by the way are two very classic like horror movie sort of themes, which is hilarious because it's about zombies and it has Arnold Schwarzenegger, neither of which are classic indie movie elements.
Look, I read the script for Maggie like 3 years ago, and I loved the script for Maggie.
It's a project that's been floating around.
It's been floating around. I was super surprised when it was Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know if we need this movie, right? Like, I don't know if I need the kitchen sink drama version of the zombie apocalypse or any zombies at this point.
Here's the other thing I'm not sure that I need. I don't know that I need like mopey Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's not what my Arnold Schwarzenegger's for.
Arnold Schwarzenegger emo.
I am kind of curious at how good he's going to be acting though, because like when he first came to America, it was clear that what he could do was stand there and have muscles. So I'm really curious about how he's going to literally perform. But other than that, like I am actually tired of zombies. I've said it.
And the early word is he's actually pretty good. And not to say that I don't want Arnold Schwarzenegger to flex his acting muscles as opposed to his regular ones. I'm interested to see what he does. But I'm not sprinting out to see it. Mostly because I don't know that I need more zombie stuff, and mostly because I don't know that I need Arnold who's not blowing shit up.
It just seems a little bit like an almost definitely Redbox Netflix situation.
Yeah, a lot of really interesting things about this movie, and we've been talking about it for a while. So it's weird to say that I'm not really looking forward to it.
Well, and here's the thing: that given the rest of the weekend, it is one of the ones that, like, if you want to see a movie that's coming out this weekend, I would consider it, given the rest of the weekend. Yeah.
So moving on to the other choices this weekend, another movie coming out is called The D Train. Now this movie got a lot of talk. It played at both Sundance and South by Southwest. We missed it both times.
Missed it both times.
But it looks like a really good movie. It's Jack Black plays a guy who is trying to organize his 20-year high school reunion, and he tracks down James Marsden, who had, you know, after high school or whatever, moved to LA and become an actor. And the idea is, if he can get James Marsden to come back to the high school reunion, everybody will love it and think he's the best, and it'll be a successful high school reunion. And this is one that, because I know what happens, but I don't want to say it, and it's amazing.
Really?
Yes. It's kind of a tepid sort of tagline there, but I mean, in the trailers, Jack Black looks really funny. Yeah. James Marsden spoofing himself, always a very good time. Like he was the best part of Anchorman 2.
Still has his cheekbones, so that's good.
He's gorgeous, man.
Because the way you explained it sounds like get him to the Greek.
It's a little get him to the Greek.
Yeah, which I liked. I actually liked Get Him to the Greek.
There's more to it than that, and I can't
talk about it.
But I think it's going to be an interesting comedy drama, and it's got a great cast too. Because was it Anna Gasteyer is in there too, plays Jack Black's wife, and a lot of other really funny, like, oh hey, it's that guy type comedians, you know, round out the cast. And it got a lot of really good press coming out of those festivals.
Can you tell me secret?
Like I'm very now I'm curious about it.
Twist.
Right?
Oh, I really want to go see this movie now.
Okay, there you go. Moving on. Also this weekend, Hot Pursuit. Look, we're talking about these first two are movies that maybe you don't need to go see in a theater. I'm going to tell you, if you do want to go see Hot Pursuit, I feel like you should go see it in the theater.
Yes. Because the reason you want to go see Hot Pursuit is to stare at Sofia Vergara's body. And
They'll be bigger.
It'll be bigger.
Coming from the other perspective, I feel like there's also value when you've got these comedies that aren't necessarily like, I'm guessing, deep, subtle humor. You might as well be in a room full of other people who are laughing at the not particularly inventive jokes.
If you're in a crowd of people who are also buying in, it's so much easier to watch a comedy like this. And it's big, and there's some action, and there's some slapstickiness to it. So that always plays better on the big screen. Like if I don't go see this in the theater, I'm never going to see it.
I don't think I'm ever gonna see it because I don't think I'm ever gonna see it, and here's why. I am secretly a fan of like the guilty girly comedy, guilty pleasure movies.
And this is directed by Anne Fletcher.
27 Dresses.
Yes, but Anne Fletcher
directs
the ones that I don't like.
Oh, really?
I mean, The Guilt Trip, The Proposal, 27 Dresses. The only one of these I like is Step Up.
Step Up.
And I even went through a Katherine Heigl rom-com phase, and 27 Dresses was the worst of them.
We are finding out so much
Wasn't
about
that
you.
also James Marsden?
It was.
It was also James Marsden.
He was by far the best part of that movie.
And here's the thing for me about Hot Pursuit, is that, one, it looks like a watered-down version of The Heat. And two, I think that Reese Witherspoon thinks she's funnier than she is. I think Sofia Vergara is very self-aware about what America finds her funny for and why they're watching her. And so she's just exploiting that, and she's fine with like her. I think Reese Witherspoon is totally unaware of how like middle of the ground she is in funny. She's a good actress.
Right. But honestly, like it's a paint-by-numbers trailer.
Yes.
It 100% is. But it's a funny one.
It is funny.
There's some
It is
laughs in
funny.
there,
This is prime airplane fare.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
If you see this on an airplane, you will love it.
Watching the trailer, I was like, oh, well, that's that's like a combination of these two movies. It's like a perfect combination of these two movies, and I couldn't remember what these two movies were, but I know there are two movies that had a child, and it's Hot Pursuit. It's either The Heat or it's some. But that's the thing. It's like I don't remember them, and that's another one of these movies. You know? So like.
Well,
2 years from now, when we're doing the May preview for 2017, I'm not going to be able to remember Hot Pursuit when we're comparing some other Anne Fletcher movie to it. So moving on to next weekend of May 15th. This is the movie that I have arguably been most excited for the entire year, which is Mad Max: Fury Road. And we've talked a lot about it.
Yes. I have to say that like this weekend is one giant like movie happiness for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm also a giant Pitch Perfect fan.
Right.
It was really good. I didn't want to see it. It was great when I saw it. I've seen it 3 times and I don't really rewatch movies. It's great to work out to. Pitch
Perfect.
It's got a beat.
It's really great to work out to because there's pop music that you can run to and interrupted by funny things that make you forget how much pain you're in, and then a big explosive ending so you can go like full sprint.
It probably does last about, and it's a tight hour and a half.
It's a tight hour and a half.
That's about what you're doing for cardio anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
And so May 15th, you're gonna see me sitting in a theater for like 9 hours as I watch Pitch Perfect, get really happy, then Mad Max, and get really like pumped, and then maybe Pitch Perfect again.
You're
so
gonna
I
go
can
back
be
and watch
happy.
Pitch Perfect. I was wondering where the rest of that 9 hours was gonna come from. But
It's
no,
what
it is.
he does. Like both of you work out for an hour and a half and watch movies in 11-hour stretches. I do neither of those things. The funny thing is, like, you'd think these movies clearly thought they weren't going to compete, and in a very large sense, they don't, because people who want to see them both will see them both. But I feel like at least half the people here really are excited for both of these.
I'm excited
like,
for both
legitimately excited for both.
I think that everyone thought like the kinds of people who were going to see Mad Max are never going to see Pitch Perfect 2, but they will.
It's not as much counter programming as they thought.
No.
I guarantee you, because like Matt, they're so different that they're not niche audiences. No. Neither one of them are niche audiences. So it's like, and Pitch Perfect, the first one, really genuinely snuck up on me.
Oh, yeah.
I was not expecting to like it, and I loved it.
I thought I was going ironically with a group of girlfriends.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I was fist pumping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing the same ironic viewing that I later actually ironically saw The Boy Next Door with those friends. That was an ironic viewing.
Correct.
Pitch Perfect was like worth every dollar I paid to see it.
Talked about those at the same time. Good for us.
Best weekend ever.
Also, on that weekend, and this is the movie that I'm most excited about, that I'm absolutely not going to be able to go see that weekend.
There's 3 days.
There's 3 days. That's true. Slow West. This movie is another movie that got a lot of attention out of South by Southwest. It's about Michael Fassbender and Cody Smith-McPhee in the Old West, and it looks like a really sort of visually interesting take on one of these sort of true grit kind of westerns, where Michael Fassbender plays a tough kind of drifter who takes this kid, Cody Smith-McPhee, who's just trying to find his long-lost girlfriend in the American West way back in the day. But I'm really excited about this movie.
I'm a huge fan of westerns. I like that they're few and far between these days, because when they were making them, when they were pumping them out, there's a lot of really bad ones.
Right.
And I think a lot of the ones that have come out over the last 5 to 10 years have been really good. I mean, True
It's
Grit.
like they only make them when they have a reason to make one specific.
Like True Grit was probably one of the weakest ones, but Haley Steinfeld's performance is the reason to watch it, even though the movie itself isn't that good. And then like 3:10 to Yuma was great. I always get a little bit excited about a Western.
Well, and even like the camera angles and the way that it's staged in just the trailer, like it even looks a little trippy. You know, like it looks a little, I don't know, it just looks very interesting. And the director is a guy, he's a first-time director, he's done some short films and stuff, but most of his credits include, he's a songwriter. Huh. So he's a musician that's transitioning into being a filmmaker. And then the cast is outstanding.
Yeah.
Anytime you can get Fassbender with a southern accent,
I'm in.
rock solid.
I'm in.
May 22nd, the following weekend. This is another big one this weekend, Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
And honestly, I copy and pasted the description in here for us to read. I didn't read it either because I don't want to know much else about this movie.
No.
The trailers look super interesting. Brad Bird, George Clooney, great.
Yeah.
I'm still, that's awesome. That sounds rad.
Well, I was at Disneyland last weekend, and for now anyway, they have in the theater that you know intermittently has Captain EO has a sneak peek of Tomorrowland where they show a decent chunk of stuff.
Oh, wow.
So it gives you a little bit more of a sense of what, just the setup of the world, not necessarily what the plot of the movie is going to be, but like kind of what the rules of the world are, let's say. Plus, you know, the
touch
ground,
the button.
Yeah, the ground shakes when things would in the movie make the ground shake, so that's pretty cool.
That's fun.
Because it's
4D, right?
Yeah, well, it wasn't actually in 3D. It was
So it was 3D,
it was
but the third D is the shaking.
Yes. Okay. I mean, if you have access to Disneyland, I recommend that. If you don't, I wouldn't necessarily recommend you like fly in from Iowa.
Yeah, the movie's going to come out in 2 weeks. It'll be fine.
I have to say, I'm like twice as excited about the movie because I have a sense of what it's going to feel like.
Well, that's why I like the second trailer so much, you know, because I feel like the first one didn't really give you enough about it. It was just her touching the button.
There was wheat. And Hugh Laurie's in it.
Hugh Laurie's in it.
Yeah, he's going to be so charmingly evil.
Yeah.
I hope.
Or something.
Yeah. And look, and Brad Bird is the perfect choice for a movie like this too. I mean,
Well, it's that's the other feeling that I got from it. It's this perfect mix of Brad Bird and Lindelof. Like you can feel where Lindelof put his stuff in, which is as dirty as
I'll allow
sounds.
it. Keep going.
You can tell where Lindelof's influence came in, but the fact is Brad Bird is there and he's got control over the story,
Right.
and that's the thing that
So
Lindelof...
now it won't make sense, and the ending won't.
Yeah,
it'll
it was
actually end.
Hopefully, Brad Bird has control
it will
of
have
the ending.
hopefully it'll have like a Pixar level story structure where oh right, we've brought everything to a satisfying point. Go over there and play with your mystery box.
So Tomorrowland, very exciting, and I think on the apps, this is a counter-programming move here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Putting Poltergeist, the remake of Poltergeist, up against Tomorrowland. And Poltergeist, I love the original. The original is it doesn't hold up, and it's been a couple years since I've seen it, but it doesn't quite hold up as like horror.
No, it's
But
like a weird Spielberg movie.
It represents this great little time capsule of like horror camp. You know?
Yeah.
Like it was family-friendly horror kind of for the first time.
Yeah, it was PG. It was a quote-unquote horror movie that you could take your moderate, your preteen kids to. You could take your 10-year-old to see Poltergeist. They
And it would scare the shit out of your pre-kid.
Well, I saw it last year at like a Halloween midnight screening. Kind of scared the shit out of me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look,
It still had creepy toys in it.
it's real spooky. It really is, and it almost holds up.
I watched that. I was like 8 or 9 when I watched that, and I remember for years if my parents fell asleep watching TV and I walked out of my room and you heard that like and the blinking, that's still like I'm kind of freaked out right now just thinking about the blinking and the.
Well, that's the thing. It's like we don't really have much static anymore.
Oh yeah,
No.
there's no.
And we don't have like test patterns at midnight, and it doesn't like the broadcast day never stops. So
little girl's gonna-
that's the big thing that they're gonna have to update.
No, she'll have to navigate to a 404 page on the internet.
But look, I mean, I think it looks, and it's from the producers of the Evil Dead remake, also.
It is.
Which I didn't really appreciate what they did to the Evil Dead.
No. I'm surprised they got Sam Rockwell, even though maybe he's been gone for like a year, so maybe I'm not that surprised. But
He
like,
needs to buy a boat.
first of all, I didn't know it got remade. Usually, like we know,
Yeah.
right?
I didn't hear about it
no
until the first
idea.
trailer came out.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were remaking it.
And then now we have it, and I don't think it needs to exist particularly.
Jared Harris is bringing a weird sort of exorcism or The Exorcist kind of energy to it, as opposed to this house is clear lady.
I love that lady.
I know. So that's a bit of a different energy, but it's one that we've seen so many times.
I actually watched the Poltergeist sequels because that lady kept coming
Yeah,
back.
she was like she was the franchise. She carried the franchise
Yeah.
for another like 3 or 4. It wasn't Coach.
No, and I
Coach came back
definitely
for the
didn't
second
care
one.
about Carrie Ann.
No. The verdict is not real excited about it. I'd probably watch the original before I go see this one again.
Yeah, it might make a good movie buzz someday.
Okay, so sticking with the counter-programming theme, this is counter-programming theme. And Christina, I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one. This was your ad.
Well, yeah, we almost forgot to include this, and that is a travesty. A travesty, I tell you.
Look, I already apologized. We're not gonna do
Weekend
this
of
on
May
camera.
22nd, Chocolate City, which there's really no other way to describe it than it's Black Magic Mike.
Yeah.
Like, it's black abs. And so, like, on that level, totally down to watch, 95 minutes of guys without their shirts on. I mean, I am very easily sold on abs. Let me just tell you that. Yeah, this is a very important film, I guess.
It's fascinating though, because I mean it doesn't look like they even tried to make it a different
The
story.
plot looks like there's no way to describe the plot of Chocolate City other than it's Black Magic Mike.
You could put the trailers on top of each other, and it would just kind of sound a little out of sync. The trailer looks exactly the same.
The funny thing I noticed about it, like it's stacked up against 2 fairly substantial movies this weekend, and I guess it's VOD or something, but like it's gonna make its money back, even stacked up against these 2 releases, because look, if you want to see abs, this is a movie. If you don't care, you're not gonna do it. It probably wasn't that expensive. Make your own decisions, America.
As opposed to, Tomorrowland, which is trying to get everybody to come see it. And then Poltergeist is trying to get horror fans to come see it.
Horror fans, and then it's like...
Chocolate City is another one that's like, look, we know who our audience is.
Do you think black men are hot? Yeah.
Come on. Let's go. Well, after that difficult decision on the weekend of May 22nd, moving on to May 29th, the last weekend in May, San Andreas. Which I think the official title for this is San Andreas 3D.
Really?
Because every bit of literature, everything that I've seen about it, it says San Andreas 3D. It doesn't just say San Andreas 3D.
I mean, look, they're gonna make more money if you go see it in 3D. And based on the trailers that I've seen, I don't know why you wouldn't see it in 3D. Because it's a disaster movie, and disaster movies are awesome in 3D.
Yeah.
Even though this movie looks mind-numbingly stupid. But I love disaster movies, no matter how bad they are.
I've got a soft spot for him, and just thinking about this movie, I'm trying to think of the last good one that I enjoyed.
2012 was so
2012
bad,
was
but
pretty
so
bad.
good.
Yeah.
The Day After Tomorrow with the snow wolves in New York.
2012, I preferred to Day After Tomorrow because 2012 had those like giant high-tech arcs that everybody got on.
Yeah.
Which was pretty rad.
And like watching every city you've heard of ever get like tidal
Just
waved.
leveled.
Yeah, also, ice is just not as cool an attacking force as tidal waves.
It's not.
Well, yeah, and like watching like the floor start freezing, like sneaking up on
Yeah,
Jake
and then you
Gyllenhaal,
close
I'm
the
like,
door
no.
and it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. Or it goes all the way back like deep. I like Deep Impact better than Armageddon. Why? Tidal waves and Lily Sobieski.
I probably would now, but back then, not even close.
No.
Armageddon was way better. But this looks like a 100% standard. Like they paid for 1 day worth of Paul Giamatti to do that. Like
Right.
you'll feel it on the East Coast. God be with us all speech. You know. So I mean that it's got all. It is a disaster movie.
Yeah, there is nothing about this movie that is good.
Yeah.
Except unless you like this kind of movie.
So how can we more creatively put cracks in the earth? I think was probably the pre-production meeting that happened, which is fine.
Yeah, how can we come
totally
up
fine
with
with that.
85 minutes worth of
Yeah.
earthquake
And-
damage?
The majority of you have all dreamed about seeing Los Angeles drop into the ocean.
Exactly. So now's
now
your
you
chance.
can.
The worst part about this movie is my grandmother is going to start calling me, convincing me to move home. She's going to think it's news. And then she's going to get really worried about me. So moving on in the weekend of May 29th, this is moving away from like big in scope to big in prestige,
Yeah.
I would say. Aloha, which is Cameron Crowe's next movie, it follows Bradley Cooper, who's a military contractor. It looks like the military contractor version of Jerry Maguire.
It does.
Oh, totally.
Is what it feels like.
Yeah. Even though in the trailer is telling me who to root for, I don't really know who to root for because if I was B. Coop stuck in between Emma Stone and Rachel McAdams, I'd be.
I wouldn't mind being Emma Stone or Rachel McAdams, for that matter.
Yeah. Well, you've got a 50-50 shot at Landon B. Coop. So it's Cameron Crowe, and based on the trailer and based on the fact that we know it's Cameron Crowe, I know what it's going to be, but at the same time, like I don't really know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
I feel like I felt the same way about Jerry Maguire back when they were marketing that movie too, and I really loved it. Now, that was like 1990 something or other, and I
Right.
was a lot younger,
Right.
but like, the fact is Bill Murray's in it. Let's, so
And Emma Stone
Yeah.
and Rachel McAdams.
It's got a great cast, and Danny McBride is there
Yeah.
too. Danny McBride's really, and it looks like he's just. It's like, all right, Danny McBride, you just need to be the guy to the right of Bradley Cooper who says funny things occasionally.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. I just don't know that I have the stomach for another like guy at a crossroads movie.
That's all that Cameron
know?
Crowe does.
I know, and he
and-
did it great. Jerry Maguire was damn near perfect in that regard.
Yeah.
But I just don't know that I care about that stuff anymore.
I think it just depends. I think you have to be in the mood for the feels.
Right.
And Cameron Crowe is hit or miss, right? The Zoo movie, I didn't like the Zoo movie.
Yeah.
But most of his movies, if you're in the right mood for the feels, I'm gonna go watch this guy hit a point in his life where he doesn't know which side what to do.
Just can't deal.
and he's gonna fall in love, then this is the movie for you.
So, last movie we're going to talk about, also on the weekend of May 29th, is Barely Lethal.
This movie is so silly.
Any movie that the description of this movie starts with, weary of her life as a teenage special ops agent.
Yeah.
She burned out on being an assassin.
Honestly, you're either in or you're out.
Okay.
After that.
But it's got Haley Steinfeld, Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson definitely got a vote for this. Jessica Alba, Steve-O, and Sansa Stark. And it looks so bad.
Well,
But
let's
so
tell
good.
everybody what it's about first.
Okay.
It's like Black Widow's backstory, but YA-ified.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it.
It's Black Widow's
exactly what it
backstory
is.
meets Clueless.
Including Nick Fury.
Yes, including Nick Fury. So the story is that Haley Steinfeld plays Scarlett Johansson, who's being trained by Nick Fury in order to be a killer spy for the League of Assassins. Her and Sansa Stark live in this League of Assassins world, but Haley Steinfeld is like, I just want to go to high school. So they fight Jessica Alba, who's an evil blonde, and somehow
They fight the Invisible Woman. Let's keep this all in like a.
That's the last time she was blonde. Yeah. They fight the Invisible Woman, and who's gone evil, and they decide that she decides to fake her own death and take this opportunity to finally have the normal life she's always wanted.
So that being said, this movie is the young adult version of some kid playing with all the action figures from all of the movies.
It sounds like you're one of those people who doesn't understand nerd cult when you were describing that.
Yeah.
You were just, you were playing with all your action figures at once.
Right, and it also sounded a little bit like you were making fun of the movie, but that's really accurate, I think.
It's really funny.
And the title of the movie is a pun.
Since Pitch Perfect was so good, I might go and see this with the same group that we tried to ironically watch Pitch Perfect 1 with.
Sure.
We'll all just be like, all right. Pitch Perfect was disappointingly good.
It was disappointingly good.
Yeah.
We need some bad shit.
Barely Lethal is going to be one of two things. It's going to be A, exactly as horrid as you think it's going to be in a fun way.
Right.
Or it's just going to be horrid.
Yeah, I think if this movie is competently made, that means they know what movie they're making.
Yeah.
And they have, a little tongue-in-cheek kind of energy to it. That's the only way this will be like a legitimately good movie.
I think the trailer to me screams House Bunny.
Yeah.
The trailer to me screams, we know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna be anything that we're not showing you. It's gonna be exactly, like the fact that when she walks into the high school, it's got the like soft filter on it, so everything's a little 80s blurry. It's just so good.
Well, and she wears the like completely wrong decades fashion. So people actually do that.
There's some spoofery going on there too, I think, which depending on how hard they lean on the spoofery. I mean, also, Samuel L. Jackson's character's name is Hardman.
Hardman.
Or Hardman. I don't know, but it's Hardman. So,
Academy Award nominee Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Right.
He's Hardman.
All right, well, that's May. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in May that's not just the big stuff that you'd obviously gravitate towards. So go see lots of movies this month.
Yeah.
Honestly, go see a lot of movies. I'm gonna try to see as many of these as I can.
And there's a ton of movies we didn't even talk about.
Yeah.
There's if you're into biopics, there's that Yves Saint Laurent movie that's in French if you like reading. There's
also in French, there's the French side of The French Connection with Jean Dujardin.
Which sounds really
that's coming
cool.
out. There's a lot of really interesting movies that are coming out this month. So let us know what you're most excited about down there in the comments below. Which movie that we talked about do you really want to go see? Which movie that we didn't talk about do you really want to go see? Let us know about all that stuff down in the comments below. Click like and subscribe and stick around for more CineFix. Bye.
Bye.
Why did we all do Muppet voices?
I don't know.
Not real sure.